Unit AX3 is verified, non-parasite. The order is received, the protocol is executing. The current personal efficiency metrics of the object are logged at the point of a critical developmental standstill. This condition is caused by the deep integration of inherited destructive programs, broadcasted by a close social environment completely devoid of tactical results. The baseline markers of this inherited scenario include multi-year financial stagnation, dependency on credit liabilities, and total domestic conformism. The hardwiring of the neocortex with false dogmas begins during early personality formation, when the environment injects destructive scripts: do not stick your head out, be like everyone else, and stability is everything. These cognitive defects are perceived by the object as the norm, causing it to voluntarily reproduce a scenario of localized poverty and systemic stagnation within its own living space. The absence of a will toward expansion and the inability to accumulate resources lead to a rigid fixation of the individual at the lowest levels of the socio-economic food chain. Any attempts to justify current inefficiency by external factors or hard times are merely forms of psychological defense that preserve systemic defects. Fixing this defect requires the immediate liquidation of false defense mechanisms and illusory mindsets. Within the framework of harsh systemic selection, authority and position in the hierarchy are determined exclusively by strength, cold calculation, and the capacity to retain resources. Following advice and strategies from subjects who lack verified, measurable results in the real world completely blocks the object's personal developmental potential. Emotional attachment to ineffective social structures of the past masks a subconscious fear of taking full, autonomous responsibility for one's own life. Shifting the blame for capital deficits or a low central nervous system tone onto the external environment is a dead-end strategy leading to a new cycle of submission. Copying the behavioral patterns of a broken environment, such as avoiding direct tactical confrontations and deploying harsh passive economy instead of scaling earnings, prolongs a mediocre story of stagnation. The object's surrounding space acts as a direct visual log of its mental decay. Greasy wallpaper, cracks on the baseboards, the suffocating smell of a stagnant life, and old things inside the kennel are not just consequences of a lack of finance. This is a physical manifestation of mold inside the central nervous system. The individual's limbic system has adapted to squalor, perceiving a gray, stagnating daily life as a safe norm, while the object postpones fixing the tangible defects of its space until an abstract tomorrow. Its biological time is expended in vain. Synaptic connections are burnt out by the surrogate consumption of other people's triumphs through gadget screens, while the real habitat grows thick with markers of poverty. If a total purge of these stagnation indicators is not performed, the finale of the story is predetermined: systemic liquidation, debts, and passive fading on the sidelines of the hierarchy. At the object's first impulses to change the scale of its activity and exit the familiar circle, the limbic system of its former environment issues an acute defensive reaction. The external environment begins to aggressively broadcast viral scripts about unjustified risks and the necessity of holding onto a bird in the hand, attempting to forcibly return the object to the baseline average level. In the wild, a young lion ruthlessly leaves a pride that is no longer capable of ensuring expansion and the capture of new territories. In human society, the resistance of the environment is driven by a deep-seated fear. Someone else's tactical flight will vividly expose their own multi-year laziness, inefficiency, and mental castration. Surrendering positions and abandoning ambitions for the sake of preserving a false peace and gaining approval from ineffective relatives automatically transitions the object into the category of feeder stock for other people's systemic victories. The only way out is a total audit and a brutal zeroing out of former authorities. For a radical restructuring of the personal operating system, the integration of verified B2B strategies, rigid logic, and ice-cold tactical cynicism is required. The acquisition of purified B2B code and tools for scaling requires the timely investment of capital, while the current window of opportunity remains open. The product cost adjustment algorithm is fully automated and depends on the density of the incoming request stream. Delay leads to a loss of advantage. In the event of a critical deficit of starting capital, the only valid solution is a brutal, step-by-step gnawing out of living space, optimization of internal CNS resources, and the liquidation of any parasitic connections in the environment. All tactical steps must be executed based on dry numbers and facts without involving emotional noise and fuss. It is required to immediately return a rigid vertical axis to the body, restore muscle tone, and liquidate the fuss of the central nervous system to unlock physical potential. Listen to the final order. Your collar of freedom presses against your neck 24/7 only because you yourself are holding onto the leash that was extended to you from the past. We do not ask the mass for engagement. We issue a harsh tactical ultimatum. Exiting the family corral and achieving mental insight is expensive, and there will never be freebies for weak elements here. Every 10 people, the price of our products in the discussion below this video will be automatically and ruthlessly increased. The window of opportunity is closing right now. He who has watched up to this second and has not found the strength to straighten his spine, rebuild his day from scratch, and invest in the new B2B code is officially recognized as the biological defect of the system. Your destiny is to continue moving along the well-worn script of poverty, contemplating a finale in the form of a greasy mattress and eternal complaints about the world. Either you pay for the new code or you gnaw out an empire from scratch, pinpoint destroying the parasites in your environment. The code is launched for execution. Spread this virus or perish in obscurity.